you very much for joining us. We're here for the 12th annual Marcus Garvey lecture presented by the St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation and the Jamaica Library Service. It's the 12th annual Garvey lecture. And as your chairman for the morning, I'm going to ask you all, first of all, we're going to have a little change in our program. I'm going to jump ahead with what you see here as chairman's opening remarks. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take you through the anthem. The UNIA anthem is going to be played. We're going to stand for that. The Marcus Garvey UNIA anthem. I'm sure it's going to be a revelation. It's such a wonderful program, anthem, that you're going to like it, just to hear it played for the first time. And then we'll have the national anthem of Jamaica. The opening remarks, I will do that now, followed by the anthems and their prayer. My opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a bit informal, I'll tell you what I from now. Many, many years ago, I was invited as a very young man, young journalist. By that legendary president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. Some of you might remember a gentleman named Percy Roderick. Legendary man, one of those strong, genius men, to visit the Bullhead Mountain peak in Clarendon and to write a story about its central position in Jamaica. Bullhead is in the middle of Jamaica and it's about 5,000 feet up. So it has a commanding view of about 6 parishes, maybe 7 parishes. So it's a great place to be once in your life. It's not Blue Mountain Peak, it's Blue Head Mountain. Mr. Broderick lived in that area. That was his home district. Very rustic, very rural. He ruled it with an iron hand. He was president of the JAS. He was also, of course, president of the local Blue Head Mountain Sweet Potato Growers Association, or the small JAS branch. That was Percy Broderick. So he took me to, first of all, he was having a meeting, annual general meeting of the JAS branch in the local school, tiny little private school, way up here in the country. And he promised me he wouldn't keep me long because I wanted to do my work for the people. And that is how I saw how Percy Broderick can rule with an iron hand. He was a strong JS president, a strong personality, senator, and he could rule, man. Everybody followed him when he sat down in that schoolroom that morning. And it's so 20 so little farmers and little ladies and everybody was there. Everything was past Percy. So Percy, this is how he conducted this meeting. Percy said, first of all, everybody, I suppose you want me now to sit down as president again, so return me as president. So put up your hand, all those who voted for me, put up your hand. And of course, everybody voted, and President declared himself as president. Again, for the 40th year. Then he went down the list. Madam Secretary, well, I think we should nominate Miss Ada as secretary. You know why? She made the best sweet potato pudding in the Blue. So, and everybody say yes, and we say a smile and put up and say yes, and that is how we went down for the rest of the meeting. We vote for Mr. Jenkins, old Sam Jenkins. Him have the donkey that won't pick up everybody, goes and carry to market. Some of us voted in as vice president and Jenkins, and that's how it went. And at the end of it, he declared the meeting was done with 5 minutes. It's done. And finished. That's why I like a short meeting. I didn't sit there. Like a short meeting. This morning I'm going to be a bit like Percy Broderick. I'm going to be a bit tutorial. I'm going to treat the printed program as the minutes of the meeting we had last year. And I'm going to ask, I'm not even going to ask if there are any amendments to the minute, because as chairman I say yes, the minutes have been amended. I found a couple of errors, and so we'll do it because we very careful printing errors. It's not the library fault, because I know the library never makes a mistake when they print a program, so I take that responsibility. But I found a couple. And as I said, I'm changing up the national anthem order of protocol and so on. And any other error you may find in it, take it from me, the president. It is amended already, and I declare it open, closed, and finished. No. Let me tell you something else. I know clearly, ladies and gentlemen, the 12th annual Marcus Garvey lecture presented by the St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation and the Jamaica Library Service open. And to get the proceedings rolling, welcome first of all, and not just because she baked the best sweet potato pudding in her St. Anne, Our Costas. No. Oh, you're not going to speak now. I'm not welcoming you. Oh. I welcome our Costas, Roto Lorum Northern Water, CD, JP, and our Costas Emeritus, Honorable Radcliffe Walters, CD, JP. Now, Honorable Radcliffe deserves a very special welcome. As we all know, he's bouncing back from a bout of ill health, which couldn't keep him down, and we're overjoyed to see him looking so young again. You're like a real Rocky, sir. You are like the real Rocky we know. When Rocky was Rocky, you're still Rocky. And we're glad to have you back where you started, because this foundation, he is the co-founder of the St. Anne HSF Foundation. Please give him a resounding welcome. And I hear, by the way, he also did some of the sleep. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Shamba. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Cabinet Minister on that as well. I see the Cynthia Graham, former Secretary General of the Paris Council, is with us. She never misses anything to do with St. Anne's Day and the history of St. Anne's Day and of Garvey. Thank you, Cynthia, for coming. We have Mr. Delroy Williams, who is the Community Relations Officer for the Ministry of Education. Thank you, Delroy, for coming. James Walsh, Mr. James Walsh. He is former community college principal, and also a former lecturer at the Garvey series. We have quite a distinguished group. We have members of the St. Anne's Library. I'd like to say special mention to Shelley Martin and her group, doing all this beautiful background. Thank you for being here, and you have to be here. And Mr. Wentel Mantle, who's here from the JCDC, and others. And most of all today, we are honored to have the Vice President and Country Manager of Discovery Bauxite, Mr. Delroy Dell, as our 12th lecturer. Mr. Dell. He himself is a son of the soil and a historian of merit. And I'm quite sure he will bring to us new perspectives on the life and career of the right excellent Marcus Garvey. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Duke if he could play for us the UNIA anthem first of all. It was sung by Jimmy Tucker. You remember Jimmy Tucker, well-known Jamaican artist, many years. And we're going to ask you to stand for that, and then remain standing for the national anthem, which will be played shortly after. UNIA anthem. Advance, advance, Ethiopia. So we have a little technical difficulty, but we'll be covering that. I'm sorry I can't sing, otherwise I'll sing for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, be seated. Be seated. Yes, to find it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll sing the Jamaican national anthem. In the meantime, please, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Eternal Father, bless our land. Our sacred land.
When I am the Fatherless for land, glorious with thy mighty hand, lead us free from evil cause, be all light to countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, run through wisdom's law. Justice will be also respect on response to you respond. Strengthen us now we strength. Give us with God send us, Heavenly Father, grant through wisdom from above. It's good to be all forever, to make
Please be seated. Here I am, please be standing. Okay, we'll pass back for the year later on. Sorry about that, there's a technical mix up there, but I know we're in good hands with you, Hamilton, and thank you a lot, you. We're just waiting for you to find it and let me know. All right, I'm going to invite, is Mrs. Andrew Mommy Brown here? Not yet. I'm going to invite Custos Emeritus, the Honorable Radcliffe Walters, please, founder of this foundation, to lead us in prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, I know you have the rights to adjust the program as you feel fit, but I have also come to the defending of presentation of the musician that the order that was given to him, that he should play the national anthem first, followed by the UNIA. So again, it's not his fault for confusion. And thirdly, as the scripture says, you should lay hands on no one suddenly. It's not on program to say the prayer, I am a young lady, so you can't deal with that as the right of the chairman to do whatever you have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to remind ourselves of our first national hero, Honorable Marcus Garvey. And in order to do that, I'm going to feel the indulgence for me just to ask God's presence and guidance and his meeting. Heavenly Father, who has promised that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, anything concerning your name, you grant their request. I pray that we fulfill this promise this morning, as we give you thanks for the privilege to be so gathered. And as our speakers come to speak to us, reminding us of our first national hero, I ask that you guide their thoughts and encourage our attention, and that all that is said and done will be done to the honor and glory of thy holy name. All these mercies I ask in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Custos Emeritus. And just to remind you, sir, apart from laying hands suddenly, the Lord allows rain to fall on the just and the unjust. And in this case, I am the unjust. And that is really what took place. May I now invite our Custos Rotalorum, the Honorable Norma L. Ward, CBJP, to bring greetings to this function.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Lance Meter, Communications Consultant and Chairman of the St. Andrew Community Heritage Foundation, the Honorable Radley for Waters, CD, Custos, Emeritus, His Worship, Mayor, Councillor Sidney Stewart, Justice of the Peace, Mr. Delroy Gap, our guest lecturer, and the Public and Community Relations Superintendent of the Discovery Bauxite Operations, Mr. Ken Skiles, who is here with him, and the team from the Discovery Bauxite Operations. And they will have some news to tell us a little later on. They also extend greetings to Mr. James Walsh, one of our well-known lecturers and lecturer twice over for this event, for this well-known Marcus Garvey lecture that we've had. Ambassador Lundambe Sambo, Justice of the Peace, Mrs. Michelle Ann Martin, the Acting Senior Librarian of the St. Anne Parish Library Network, and her staff. I don't see Ms. Walker here. Ms. Walker is the Regional Librarian. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you. Thank you for having us. Mr. Edward Williams, Community Relations Education Officer of the Ministry of Education. Dr. Ransford Davidson, the President of the St. Anne Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Wentley Nantle, just the peace, in charge of the JCDC. Justices of the Peace, all, I see you all represented here, and the executive of the St. Anne Justices of the Peace Association, teachers, students, Ms. Cynthia Graham, of course, of the St. Anne's Day Improvement Committee. Ms. Graham, good to see you, madam. Ladies and gentlemen, all, what an absolute pleasure it is to see you turn out for this wonderful event. I certainly want, on behalf of the St. Anne Heritage, Homecoming and Heritage Foundation, to welcome you, and I certainly take your commendations and make them on your behalf for this group that has worked so closely in conjunction with the St. Anne Parish Library to keep faith with this very important event. It is an excellent idea to be on the calendar of this wonderful Garvey Parish, this parish that has spawned such excellent leadership as our first national hero in whom this event is being held. We have an obligation as persons who stand on the shoulders of all of these wonderful persons to keep our traditions, to use them especially to encourage our students who are here, that they've seen excellence, they've seen guidance, they have seen a path that can guide their life. The right excellent Marcus Miller Garvey has all the information that we need to guide our lives. I won't blaspheme today by saying he is as good as the Holy Bible, but in his domes and in the writers who have pointed to him, you will see him pointing to some of the lessons he has learned from his own life and from the 19th and the 20th century tragedies against Black people, and how it's important that we recognize how wonderful indeed we are in God's image, and it's important that we claim our part and our role in this world, and that we are unapologetic. We can make mistakes, and we have made mistakes, but we must know that the final decisions rest with us for us to choose the way we want to go. And as I close, I want to look at what is his mantra. It's one destiny, one aim, one God. One God, one destiny, one aim. And I want to take out the word aim, because at this stage, Jamaica needs to be sure what our aim is. And I'm going to ask you, as we listen to Mr. Dell's lecture, that we take away from his lecture what our aim needs to be as a people. This is what our national hero was saying from in the early 20th century and the late 19th century. What is our aim? Where do we want to go? It is well known that if as our national anthem says, a people without an idea of where they're going. This is what the paraphrase to me, will never arrive anywhere. So let us decide our mantra going from here. What is Jamaica's aim? What do we want to achieve? Ratif and I have just come back from the United States, and I'm happy to let you know, when we look from that distance, where is the concern? And all of us as Jamaicans should be concerned. We're wonderful people, and we are well made, but there's so much more for the 60-year-old persons to do, and for each and every one of us to find our path and our role, because it's not any one group. It's not the politicians. This is why we're here today. This is why we're paying the heart, and we have joined hands and heads and voices to make for a better country. And St. Anne wants to lead, and we believe in. So Raj Marsden says, aim higher, and you will end up higher. Expect more of yourself, and you will end up getting more from yourself. You owe it to yourself, to others, and to the world to aim higher, to reach higher, to work your way higher. After all, you are part of life, and the miraculous fact of your existence obligates you to make the best you can be. You have already done much. We'll take that away from you, and you can do much more. Aim higher, get there, add richness to the journey for everyone, including yourself. God bless you. Enjoy your lecture. A wonderful day.
Thank you, Madam Costas, for that inspiring greeting. We move on. I'm going to ask you, from where I'm looking on, I am seeing a room full of students, of school children, the next generation. Plus, of course, all the adults and our parents and everybody here. I would like to ask each school, not the school group, but the teacher perhaps or the leader from each school to just stand up and tell us which school is here and which school is represented. Okay, I say, thank you. Is that St. Hilda's? Yeah, man. Hilders, one of you, St. Hilda's, right? Which other school? I know. Which one? Discovery Bay College is here. Discovery Bay High is here. A good turnout, 24 of them from Discovery Bay.
Marcus Garvey.
Hey?
Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey. Great man. Give him a hand there, Marcus. And I heard another school when I was down there. There's a school at the back, way at the back. What school is that? Priory. What a turnout. They have a whole heap of them around. Nice. Chester. Welcome, Chester. All right. Welcome to you all. Welcome and thank you very much for coming. Now, it is my great pleasure to invite His Worship, Councillor Sidney Scott, JP, Mayor of St. Anne's Day, to bring greetings to us on this August occasion. Somebody is doing his role.
I try to secure my paycheck. Because of course I did not see our CEO when I was coming in. And just as you made the announcement, then I look around, she's there. So Doctor, you can tell everyone that this I'm supposed to be in the month, and I want to be paid after. However, please allow me to acknowledge on the part of the municipality. I really want, and in my own position as Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, I really want to acknowledge and appreciate all the men of them, but certainly if I knew that the challenge was going to be so big, I would have borrowed Justice's list. But I really want to express our appreciation to Honorable Custis, of course, Custis Emeritus, Chairman Mr. Nita. I see Jamaica Development Commission, Michelle and Martin, Mr. Delroy Williams, Mr. Kent Skiles, and Mr. Dell, whom I'm going to actually miss their presentation, Mr. Bell, there, but you can send it on to me and I'll let you. All right. And Miss Rose Ann Berger, and certainly all the many schools and teachers, our former ambassador, Madam Dr. Davis, and my CEO, certainly I would have mentioned Mr. Williams, and you are Miss Smart. There are many persons who forms part of the St. Anne Homecoming, what is it? St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation. They not have recognized them on my page, and everyone are not listed, but from the municipality, I express that to you, acknowledgement also. Now, today is very significant, and I would classify it as being symbolic. I recognize that in the last couple of years, we may not have had this process because of the pandemic, but I saw now that they're saying it's our 12th annual presentation. If it had not been for the 19th and the 20th of what takes place, you would have made God 40, which is, of course, significant for the parts of St. Anne because we are remembering and honoring one of the greatest philosophers, Paul. And if you ask me, I would have classified him as one among five. And then I heard Costas make mention about some year of Bible. So if I put Jesus first, I put Marcus Garvey second. Because Marcus Garvey certainly was an outstanding man of not just Jamaica, but the world. The entire world look forward to Marcus Garvey presentation. The entire world look forward to his tour. Many countries once again would do that Marcus Garvey was landing where they are. There would have hundreds of people, not people, prepared to welcome him. So Marcus Garvey celebration and recognition is not anything ordinary. And I really want to salute the St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation to ensure that Marcus Garvey's life and his works and his journey is always remembered. And I remember when Costas Miracle was seeking to introduce this and putting a team together. I remember those days because I've been in the municipality in the last 29, 30 years. So all of this forms part of my memory. While I was not involved in it directly then, I knew what it takes to ensure that it materialized. And so I really want to greet all of you and trust and hope because I know this is going to be a tremendous function. Schools are going to be learning a lot from it. I should have mentioned Jamaica, JCDC, the representatives are here. This takes in all the civics group and of course the educational institution, not just across St. Anne, right across the entire Jamaica, but for what you're doing here today is going to disseminate itself into neighboring parishes and the other parishes and all the parishes across. So this is a calendar event, so it will become national at some point. Really want to express my appreciation, the municipality appreciation for what you're doing. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very, very much for that valuable addition to our program this morning. Contribution. Thank you very, very much. Now we're going to have a short break for important short break for our cultural item, which is going to be presented by the Harrigan family, the Hannigans family. It's a Hannigans dance group, ladies and gentlemen. Two youngsters from Busharians, and I want you to know that their mother is here. But they're not going to perform better because the mother is here. They're going to just perform. She's just behind them all the way. And it's going to be a beautiful group. So thank you, Mr. Mandel, for bringing them along, Pessoa. And we're waiting now for the cultural item presented by the Hannigans, the dance group. Give them a big hand. What can I do here? Move the black.
I'll keep finding voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never manage. More than just the sum of every high and every low. Remind me once again just who I am, because I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. You say I can't believe. You say I am true when I think I'm weak. You say I am when I'm falling short. When I don't belong, you say I believe what you say. I believe. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you, I find my grace. In you, I find my identity. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, you have every victory. Oh, you say you say I choose.
I was convinced this was some terrible miscarriage of justice, sleeping on the job.
You made a mistake.
A mistake I can live with. I make them on the regular, but no, this. I tracked this guy down to his halfway house by harassing questions. I vilified him and I got him killed. Alex.
Maybe you're being too hard on yourself.
You being nice just makes it worse. That's just pity.
No, I'm not nice. I don't even like you. I think you're shifty and actually annoying.
Okay, is that supposed to make me feel better?
But I don't pity you. And as much as it pains me to say this, I kind of respect you for working so hard to try to get the truth.
And you respect me?
I know. Don't make this weird. And drop the poor me crap and come in the other room and help us solve this case already.
Great. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go,
then.
partner.
You're going out today?
Thank you for voicing your anger. Really helps.
Let's stand for that.
That was good, eh? Right, excellent. Marcus would have been paroled. Right? There is consonants to you, congratulations and thanks to Principal and thanks to Mrs. The mother, Mrs. Halligan, and her dance group. We'll hear from them later on. Wish you all the best in the festival. And we're looking at medals there. We're looking at medals. Now it is my great pleasure to invite Mrs. Shelley Ann Martin, Miss Shelley Ann Martin, who's the acting senior librarian of the Shelley Ann Parish Library, to bring greetings on behalf of the Jamaica Library Service.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Custis did it so effortlessly when she just listed everybody's name and greeted everyone. So I think it's best if I just say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, students, good morning to you all. It is indeed a pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the Jamaica Library Service. We are now living in an era where the idea that access to and control of information is the defining characteristic of human civilization. In this world of ubiquitous information, there's always more out there. It is easy to find support for any hypothesis you choose. Multiple sources of simulation are available at our fingertips. We see persons juggling smartphones, tablets, laptops, and now there's even greater emphasis on holding people's attention more than ever. Our libraries play a very important role in this era by not only providing support in literacy, providing access to information and resources, serving as a community gathering space, supporting lifelong learning, and promoting a rich cultural heritage. We also have to ensure that persons are focused on the right issues and not distracted by the dozens of equally interesting issues that could be discussed. To effectively fulfill our roles, we cannot do this alone. So to further strengthen our presence in our communities, we form worthwhile partnerships with organizations such as the St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation. It is through these partnerships that we help persons in our society to create the right balance between information and judgment in making important decisions. Marcus Garvey famously wrote, "A people without a knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." So while we embrace and enjoy having everything readily at our fingertips, our traditional sources of information cannot be eroded. We look to these sources to craft our future development. Functions like these are very valuable, and each individual here will leave with information that will be used to improve the outcomes of actions, increase knowledge base, and reduce or eliminate some uncertainty in our daily lives. I take this opportunity to thank the St. Anne Homecoming and Heritage Foundation for the partnership over the past 12 years. This symbiotic relationship has proven beneficial in helping us to achieve our goals. I know you have been and will continue to be inspired by the invaluable contribution of Jamaica's first national hero, the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, to the Jamaican people. I greet you warmly and wish for you a wonderful program. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Shelley. Thank you very much, Mr. Shelley Martin, the librarian. Speaking on behalf of our partners. Library, presentation and information. By the way, congratulations to the library staff on the backdrop we're looking at here. 12 years. Now, we move on again. Mr. Delroy Williams, my great friend, Community Relations Education Officer, Ministry of Education, and we can't get away without hearing from you, sir.
Mr. Lance Leader, Chairman for the St. Andrew Farming Heritage Foundation, Custis Rosalorum, Norma Walters, CDJP, and Custis Emeritus, Mr. Radcliffe Walters, CDJP, Ambassador Aluna Samba, His Worship, the Mayor, in his absence, he had to leave. We acknowledge him, Mr. Delroy Dell, Vice President and Country Manager, Discovery Bauxite Partners, and his team, Michelle and Martin of the library, all the distinguished guests, principals, teachers, students, community members. Good morning. Please accept greetings on behalf of our Regional Director, Ms. Carly JP, who is unavoidably absent. She sends her love and her best wishes along with the entire regional team on this year's 12th annual Marcus Garvey Lecture, being held under the theme, Garvey, the Game Changer. It is an honor to be here today to be enlightened. That's what I'm here for, enlightenment on the profound impact that Garvey had on shaping not only the educational landscape, but his impact on the world, a game changer indeed. Marcus Garvey, a visionary leader, activist, also dedicated his life to championing the rights and empowerment of Black people worldwide. While Marcus Garvey is primarily known for his influential work in the areas of Pan-Africanism and civil rights, his contribution to education should not be overlooked. Garvey firmly believed that education was a key to liberation and self-determination. I'm sure we're going to hear more of it. He recognized that for individuals and communities to break free from the shackles of oppression, education had to be accessible, empowering, and culturally relevant. Garvey sought to provide African people with the tools and knowledge necessary to overcome systematic barriers and reclaim their identity and dignity. As we gather here today, let us remember Marcus Garvey as an unwavering advocate for education and empowerment. His legacy serves as a reminder that education is not just about acquiring knowledge, it is a powerful tool for liberation, self-discovery, and social transformation. Let us honor Garvey's memory by rededicating ourselves to the pursuit of equitable and inclusive education for all. May his passion, resilience, and commitment continue to inspire us as we strive to build a more just and enlightened world. Greetings.
Mr. Williams, speaking on behalf of the Ministry of Education. Now we're getting closer and closer to the punchline. But we've invite Mr. Kent Skiles, who is a superintendent of public and community relations for Discovery Bauxite Operations, Discovery Bauxite Partners, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Costa, Honorable Norma Walters, Justice Emeritus Honorable Garvey Walters, Ambassador Sub, other invited guests, students, well-wishers, good morning. The pleasure is mine to introduce our guest lecturer today. Dale holds a Master's in Management Information Systems from the University of West Indies, Mona, Jamaica, and a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of West Indies, Trinidad. And now of that, he's a bachelor of man in Westmoreland. He wouldn't want to leave us that way. Dale has over 29 years working experience in the bauxite and aluminum industry, having worked in a number of key positions. His experience encompasses accomplishments in production and maintenance operations management, project and organizational management, and process control and engineering. His early years were spent at West Indies Aluminum Company, formerly Alcan, Jamaica, where he managed the integrated bauxite and aluminum operation for the refinery. Between the roles of plant manager and operations director of the Widalco Newton Works refinery, he had responsibility for all operational aspects of the Newton Works business unit, including bauxite mining, preparation and supply, and the refinery process. In 2009, Delroy joined Noranda Jamaica Bauxite Partners, No Discovery Bauxite Partners, as Director of Operations with responsibility for the company's plant, mines, and railroad operations, encompassing all the production, engineering, and maintenance activities. The position was held by him up to January 2017, when he was appointed Vice President and General Manager. As Vice President and General Manager of Discovery Bauxite, Delroy has responsibility for managing and directing all production, engineering, and maintenance activities, whilst ensuring the safe and environmentally sound achievements of all targets. He also leads the on-the-ground employee and community engagement projects, including tree planting project, social responsibility, and greenhouse farming innovation and expansion across the company's operation line. All the community-related activities, he's the main person in pushing and supporting these. And in Discovery Bauxite, these are quite extensive. His technical knowledge, track record of successful operational leadership, and familiarity with the global bauxite industry provides Discovery Bauxite with the opportunity to continue to improve the competitiveness and sustainability of its assets. He has traveled widely and has presented several academic papers in Hungary, English, Ireland, Australia, Russia, and in his home country of Jamaica. You would agree by hearing this short information that Marcus Garvey will be well proud of this local Jamaican. I now bring to you Mr. Delroy.
Thank you, Mr. Ken Skiers. I think that was a very generous introduction, and I just want to thank you for your very kind words. Mr. Chairman Lansita, thanks for your invitation. Custos of St. Anne, the Honorable Norma Walters, Custos Emeritus, CDJP, Radcliffe Waters. I think your worship, the Mayor Sidney Stewart has left us. Members of the St. Anne Host Homecoming and Heritage Foundation, Ms. Shelley Ann Martin, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, students, teachers, I feel privileged to be invited to attend this function and to present as guest speaker. Oh, how could I look up my namesake, Mr. Henry Williams? Huh? I think you wrote, you could have written my speech, and I think you have said most of the stuff I would like to say. And I think I must mention as well, Ambassador Samba, a very special leader who I have not seen for about 30 years. But many times, years with suspense. All right, finally meet up with you today, right? Good morning, all, and thanks. First of all, I would like to express my thanks to the sponsors, to for the invitation to this important function. I'm humbled, honored, and grateful for the opportunity to participate in this annual lecture and tribute to Jamaica's first national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Foundation, the library, and all others for ensuring that this event, which marks the anniversary of his death on June 10th, 1940, is commemorated annually. I know that over the years, this forum has been addressed from this lecture by many of Jamaica's most distinguished scholars. I don't claim to be a scholar, in spite of what Kent may have said, and I think they have taught us a lot about the philosophy and achievements of our celebrated son of the soil, Marcus Garvey. And we must acknowledge their invaluable contribution and tutelage. Fortunately, there are no shortage of papers and historical documents that provide a wealth of knowledge for all those who, like myself, would wish to learn more about Garvey and to share his story with audiences like you, as well as allowing me the opportunity to share some new perspectives of our first national hero. I therefore invite you to come with me as we follow him step by step from his humble beginnings in St. Anne to his final destination as Jamaica's first national hero. What is significant is that in every phase of his life's work, he has never once stepped back from his determination to make a difference, to right what he perceived to be wrong, and to fight for the advancement of Black pride, upward mobility of Black people and members of the African diaspora. The theme of my presentation today is Marcus Garvey, the game changer. I want to speak first about the early stages of Marcus Garvey's life. Marcus was born right here in St. Anne's Bay, August 17, 1887, and spent his early years growing up in St. Anne. He moved to the big city Kingston in 1905 as a teenager, at 18 years of age, and he subsequently traveled across Central America as a young adult between 1910 and 1911, where his propensity to challenge discrimination and injustices were honed. He subsequently visited England 1912 to 1914. So what was so game-changing about Marcus? On his return from England, he took a look at Jamaica and he decided to take on the challenges which were to share the rest of his life as a shaper of opinion and a shaper of the way forward. In the years 1916 to 1917, he came to be regarded as one of the greatest mass leaders of his time. On his subsequent return to Jamaica in 1927, he continued to make an impact. He challenged the system, spoke up for the downtrodden, and changed the rules of the game. And of course, his final years, when he went back to England, a bit disappointed, but still a fiery warrior, until he died in London at the age of 52 on June 10th, 1940. I must digress a bit here, and allow me at this point to divert from the presentation to tell you a local story about Marcus Garvey that will be familiar to some, but not to many. Pretty glance all of this story, right? I was introduced earlier as a son of the soil. I'm not really a son of St. Anne. I'm from Westmoreland. But I grew up with a profound appreciation of the impact Marcus has had on the psyche of any little Black child growing up anywhere in any section of Jamaica. I think his impact was profound, and I think the things which were close to him are still as worthy today as they were then in the 1920s, in his formative years,
when he tried to shape and mold the psyche of Black people in general, and to try and form a new culture and dispensation for the upliftment of persons in Jamaica and eventually the entire African diaspora. It is a tale that dramatically underscores the continuing influence of his life story and illustrates the loyalty and respect in which he is held in Jamaica and around the world. It is not a legend, but has a tinge of folktale material that will very likely create additions to the narrative as time goes on. But before I tell you, let us spend a little lighter moment and look at how legends can transcend the facts and are retold, whether as Duppy stories, folk tales, and oral stories. In my youth, way back, growing up in the 1960s and early 70s, there are many years in Jamaica which still did not have electricity. Many of us grew up. I grew up with my grandmother and uncles and mom. And there were many times I remember that what we would do at the pastime is that not having a TV. We sit there on the veranda. If you have a favorite, run until we come back and tell us a lot of stories. You know what sort of stories it will be, right? So in my youth, Duppy stories, and I recall an uncle boy, I didn't like it. Because I think every time that man visits our house, you're afraid to go to bed. Well, that was his impact. I don't know if any of them share those sort of memories, but boy, there was some story Uncle Isaac would have to come. I was saying myself, you really have to come and visit us to share these other stories with us. Huh? Don't tire to steer us, right? And then I was the only grandchild living here. So I guess I got immersed in all of those stories. And I mean, even to this day, they are fond memories of mine and they have never left me. But back to my story. In my youth, Duppy stories on the veranda were a delightful but scary pastime. Best recounted at sunset, sending the bus to bed to have nightmares about rolling cars. And I still enjoy the story about rolling cars. Yes? Haven't heard any of that in a long time, right? Moonshine babies is land still with that one. I never hear about that. 3-foot horse, I know everybody hear about 3-foot horse and old hide. And rolling car, right? I guess 3-foot horse and rolling car was the bogeyman which sent us to bed, right? You are someone who was misbehaved, I'm sure after one of those stories on the veranda for the next week. They didn't have to say a second word to you, right? You'll be well behaved. The legend of the mysterious passenger who disappears from the back seat of a taxi at Flatbridge when she's supposed to be on her way to Bagua is a common one. What makes it worse for the poor driver, and you know the story, is that he did not stop and only discovers that the passenger is missing when he arrives at the destination and turns around to pallet his fare. A delicious addition to the story is that when he asks if anyone has seen her, the locals describe her down to a T and then assure the taxi driver that there's a Duppy that turns up here every full night. Don't worry, you're not alone. Now, I worked at Alcan, Yuatan Plan for 20 years, and I must confess, I have driven on the Bagua road alone for many years. And I can show you that the story, I'm not so sure about its authenticity, but nevertheless, it is the stuff of which legends are made. And so, for weeks after the so-called incident, the taxi driver's head would raise whenever he entered the garbage. And he would never fail to make a quick count of his passengers before and after the turn at Flatbridge, or so the story goes. But let us leave Flatbridge and come back to a real story which centers around the Marcus Garvey statue at the entrance to this very island. I give you a little background. The statue was sculptured by a famous Jamaican artist, Alvin Marriott, and was unveiled on October 17, 1976. Significantly, a cut stone constructed behind the statue carried a quotation from Marcus Garvey, which read, "He declared to the world, Africa must be free." However, over time, and with several public functions in the park, observers noticed that one stone at the top of the eastern section was missing. Questions were raised, and when the contractor who built the wall was quizzed, he said that the humble workmen who constructed the edifice had asked that the stone be laid only when all of Africa became free. In the face of this moving demonstration of a determined loyalty to the African cause, the request was upheld and gladly supported by the Center and Parish Council. Move forward to April 27, 1994, when Nelson Mandela was elected President of South Africa, following the first multinational elections with the Declaration of Universal Adult Suffrage in that country. A few months later, on August 17th, a small ceremony was held at Garvey's statue right here at this library. Prayers were said. Garvey's message was repeated. 18 years after the construction of the wall, the last stone was laid. What a profound lesson taught to us by the humble minister. It was a most vivid and powerful demonstration of Garvey's influence in helping to reshape the whole character and thinking of the people of his own country among the millions of followers throughout the world. So who was this Mason? He was not a university lecturer. He was not a leader in government, nor a director of the private sector of Jamaica. By his own admission, he was simply a humble but proud craftsman, respected for his skill and professionalism. Yet for 18 years, his wisdom, his loyalty, and his determination to keep the legacy of Marcus Garvey alive kept us waiting to lay the last stone until South Africa was set free. What a vision. So who was this man Garvey? It's not an easy question to answer. Garvey was a very complex individual. The theme of our lecture this morning describes him as a game changer. Not an unfamiliar term to any of us, but what exactly is the definition of a game changer? Throughout time, we have seen how the introduction of new ideas and different approaches to problems have changed the course of history. In its simplest form, would be a footballer who comes on at halftime and score 2 winning goals to change the course of a match. Generally, game changers make things happen by looking for and seeing things that others don't. They are always innovative, and more importantly, they are persistent, committed, courageous, and visionary. The term game changer is a versatile word that can be applied to a positive or negative outcome. However, it is generally applied to an individual or an organization. Significantly alters the way things are done in a positive manner. How does Garvey rate as a game changer? Perhaps, based on this lecture, you can be the judge. But let us put him first of all in the context of his hometown. He was born to Marcus. He was born to Marcus. Can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry. He was born to Marcus or Malchus, according to another source. Garvey Senior, and his mother Sarah Jane Richards, a domestic worker, right here at St. Anne's Day in 1887. He attended the St. Anne's Day Government School, these are now called primary schools, and like most of the children of the village, had no access to secondary education. The practice, however, at the time was that after leaving elementary school at age 15, you will look for a job. Remember that at that time, secondary education was restricted and there was little or no tertiary education available for the masses. So young Marcus started work at age 14 or 15 as a printer's apprentice in his godfather's business, the Borough's Printing in St. Anne's Day. But St. Anne's Day could not hold Marcus. He moved on to Kingston in 1905 and got involved in trade unionism, publishing, and quickly became known as a political activist. In fact, by age 21, he was the vice president of the Kingston Printers Union, which led a major printers strike in 1908, right? The ripe old age of 21. That strike was one of an emerging series of industrial and commercial labor unrest that was beginning to seize the sympathy and imagination of the Jamaican public. The young man from the country was now being identified by the authorities as a bit of a rebel to be watched. He became associated with some of the radicals who were publicly criticizing the colonial government of the group. He became interested in politics and soon got involved in projects aimed at helping those at the bottom of the society. I remind you that at that time, Jamaica was then a colony. The government was run by an Englishman who had executive powers and who represented the King of England. The Legislative Council consisted of representatives from the parishes who were either large landowners or those with the requisite amount of money. The same applied to those who were eligible to vote. Many people, therefore, had no vote. Mr. Garvey joined a campaign to remove the British colonial government at the time. Yes, some would say in passing, yes. And he published several articles attacking the establishment, which was denying any kind of upward movement for those from the lower strata. So here, in his early stages of his life, in his early 20s, we are seeing the glimpses of the passion that will determine how he would shape the rest of his life as a game changer. Never accepting the status quo as a given and preparing himself to do something about it. It was during this period also that he joined the cultural clubs, such as the famous East Queen Street Debating Society. He created a mild sensation in 1910 when the little country boy from St. Anne's Day won first prize for public speaking. Marcus was a guy was a gentleman, he was a bit of a rolling stone. His move was to Central America. So he was on the move. He was dissatisfied with inequalities and unfair biases he encountered in Kingston, and he joined the wave of Jamaican migrants who were traveling to Central America in 1910 to pick up work. In Costa Rica, in Panama, and across the Isthmus, he came across the same inferior status, even to the West Indian laborers that he had opposed in Jamaica. And he vigorously protested the treatment of his fellow workers. That was Marcus at age 22. Unafraid to make his voice heard as he championed the cause of the migrant community. Marcus did not stay long in Central America. He returned to Jamaica. He stressed that the situation he had seen and appealed to Jamaica's colonial government to help improve the plight of West Indian workers in Central America. His appeal fell on deaf ears. So in 1912, he went to England, and over the next 2 years, he could be heard speaking on public platforms all over London. He later said that it was experience with racism and prejudice in that country that fueled his determination to become an activist in the upliftment of the Negro race. And of certainty, it was during that period that he began to envision a movement that would politically unify Black people of African descent across the entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, the game was about to be changed. And Garvey was well prepared to play the role of the game changer. As one outstanding Garvey scholar, Professor Tony Martin puts it, Garvey was indeed ready. He came out of, I quote, he came of a radical leadership tradition. He was a strike leader before he was 20 years old. In 1910, he made his first trip abroad and concerned himself with working conditions in Central America. In London, he had seen new dimensions of the Black man's struggle and was exposed to ideas that would help to formulate his life's work. I quote again from Tony Martin that he had gone to the administrative headquarters of the British Empire to acquaint himself with the realities of dealing with the superpowers. Subsequent to this, I want to speak to the next phase of Garvey's life, the UNIA. Not surprising that shortly after his return to Jamaica in 1912, one of his first acts was to organize the United Negro Improvement Association, UNIA. His motto had reverberated across the world: one God, one aim, one destiny. Initially, he had only a few members, but the truth is that the prejudice that existed at the time, UNIA could not flourish in Jamaica. Remember, the playing field was not level. The rules were in favor of the upper classes and the light skin, and the common people had to bear the hardship and poverty that thrived on overbearing plantation system. The vast majority of persons had no vote and little chance of having their policies heard. Perhaps at this time, Garvey could have shown him his lot with the honor class and returned to St. Anne's-Bean to live an unobtrusive life, perhaps as a clerk, a labor, or a mason, or a printer, like his godfather. But he had a restless social conscience and a burning desire to make a change for the upliftment of the common man. And realizing that Jamaica was not ready to provide his support, as well as scope for his activities, he immigrated to the United States in 1960. Garvey was no stranger to conditions in the United States. His wide reading had introduced into the complexities and contradictions of the color bar, white superiority, race riots, and the lynching of Black persons in the Deep South. Everything he saw in terms of race barriers and Black degradation was repugnant to the little man who had grown up, played with white children where he lived, on the street where he was born. He had experienced class and color prejudice in his homeland, but in America, he came across it more starkly. He rebelled against a situation where his people were being treated as second class. After surveying the racial situation in America, Garvey was convinced that the integration would never happen, and that only economic, political, and cultural success on the part of African Americans would bring about equality and respect. With that goal in mind, he moved the headquarters of the UNIA to New York in 1970, and he began to spread a message of Black nationalism with the eventual return to Africa, with the goal of the eventual return to Africa and all people of African descent. The perceptions were changing. Garvey knew that African Americans would not take action if they did not change their perceptions of themselves. He hammered home the idea of regional pride by celebrating the African past and encouraging African Americans to be proud of their heritage and proud of the way they looked. Garvey famously proclaimed, "Black is beautiful," long before it became popular in the 1960s. He wanted African Americans to see themselves as members of a mighty race. I quote, "We cannot canonize ourselves, create our own martyrs, or we must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate the positions of fame and honor, Black men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history." One of his first moves had been to form a branch of the UNIA in America. Within a few years, that expanded to 700 branches. Garvey profoundly believed in economic independence for the African diaspora. And though the UNIA attempted to achieve that independence by forming ventures like the Black Star Shipping Line and the Negro Factories Corporation. In Garvey's opinion, without commerce and industry, a people perish economically. The Negro is perishing because he has no economics. In his view, Euro-American employers would always favor Euro-American employees. So to gain more security, African Americans needed to form their own businesses. In his words, the Negro must become independent of white capital and white employees if he wants salvation. By 1920, the UNIA had 4 million members who became known as Garveys. Not bad for a little boy coming out of St. Anne's in deep rural Jamaica. Garvey movements and popularity in the United States did not go unnoticed. And his movement between 1916 and 1926 had a short but spectacular lifespan in the USA. Within that short time, our Jamaican hero came to regard him as a world leader of the Black diaspora all over the world. But in 1926, he was arrested by the FBI, who had been on the watch for him. He thought that the movement contained the embryo for a widespread revolution, and the FBI decided to squash it and remove Garvey from circulation. Unfortunately, in 1926, he was imprisoned on Trump fraud charges and deported to Jamaica in 1927. Back in Jamaica in 1927, Garvey was given he was welcomed by over 3,000 people who met him at the Kingston Harbor. The Gleaner signaled their opposition to him landing in Jamaica in an editorial which reflected the antipathy of the colonial rule. I quote, "There is no doubt that Garvey's presence will prove a dangerous element in Jamaica unless it is made and mistakenly clear at the very beginning that the authorities are not prepared to tolerate any nonsense and start." Now, Garvey was no stranger to this kind of verbal assault and threatening language. He had gone through much of the same in the USA. His career was spectacular, but he also had his detractors, and he had to demonstrate his sheer courage, willpower, oratorical skills, and creativity to reach where he did. Back in Jamaica, he went into politics, demonstrating that he was neither cowed nor afraid of the many threats and obstacles put in his way by the British colonial rulers. Remember, he was considered by England to be a threat. The British rulers feared that radicalism led by Garvey in the USA could infect their territories throughout the Caribbean. In fact, Garvey's newspaper, The Negro World and The Black Man, came under pressure from the police in Jamaica, who harassed the vendors and encouraged the postmistresses to delay the delivery of the newspapers through the post. Garvey was a marked man. I move now to Garvey's entrance to politics. Garvey, he formed his People's Political Party in 1929. It was the first political party in Jamaica. Rupert Lewis, esteemed University of the West Indies lecturer and political scientist, who had published extensively on Garvey, noted that in the Jamaica Journal, that his historical election manifesto was the first and realistic, practical and realistic, anti-imperialist political program in this country. He championed the major economic, political, legal, and educational demands of the working people as a whole, and reflected what Garvey was all about, his mission, his objectives, and his passion. He had brought back to Jamaica the same ideals, the same message of change, the same desire to uplift the common people and make them proud first-class citizens in their own country. That he had demonstrated while living in the USA. If Garvey is to be considered a game changer, you should read the manifesto, which was on his website. Among the highlights were the protection of a native labor, a minimum wage, a national insurance for the working class, and an 8-hour working day, way back in the 1920s. He also called for a Jamaica University and a polytechnic, a government high school in each parish, a parish library in the parish capital of each parish, and national opera house, national parks, and public clinics in the rural areas. Remember, this was in 1929, before the formation of either of our political parties, the PNP in 1938 or the JLP in 1940. The University College of the West Indies, our first university, did not see the light of day until 1948. The National Insurance Scheme was introduced with great fanfare in 1965. The St. Anne Public Library was opened on December 8, 1947 in rented premises in the Centerville Market. Obviously, Marcus Garvey was thinking way beyond his time. As a game changer, he was a visionary who prepared to promote his ideas and institute his program manifesto. This was not to be over, as his people's political party was defeated in the 1930 elections. It was amazing how he managed to spread himself so thin in his pursuit of betterment for the people he represented. Garvey's stage was not center, nor indeed was it Jamaica. It was the continent of colored people across the world. He's a national hero whose work carried a message which helped to structure the whole character of his people among millions of other people throughout the world. Did you know that Garvey was also had interest in the arts? Outside of politics and Pan-Africanism, Garvey had an interest, the arts. While in Jamaica, he promoted art and culture through his Liberty Halls and Edelweiss amusement company. He staged regular concerts and debates and elocution competitions. These gave rise to some of the famous artists of yesteryear: Ronnie Williams, Ernest Tupidan, Will and Bang. And this is before my time as well. He also had a strong influence on music, from reggae to hip hop, and was an inspiration for many of Bob Marley's and Burning Spears albums. In his last days, he returned to England in 1935, and his movement went on. Although he still worked and wrote couplets. In London, he sought to rebuild UNIA, although found there was much competition in the city from other Black activist groups. Sadly, he died on June 10, 1940. Memorials to Garvey exist throughout the world. Schools, colleges, highways, and buildings in Africa, England, Europe, the USA, and Canada, the Caribbean, are named after him. His bus famously sits in the Organization of American States Hall of Fame in Washington. And in his autobiography, Kwame Nkrumah, the prominent Pan-Africanist who became Ghana's first president, acknowledged Garvey's influence on him. The flag that Ghana adopted when it became independent adopted the colors of the UNIA. In Africa, his name is revered in Cape Town, Ghana, Nairobi, Nigeria, and Kenya as a liberator. He is truly Jamaica's first national hero. Right here in this library is the Marcus Garvey Center, which is a joint project of the library and the Homecoming and Heritage Foundation Center. So who will begin? There are memorials and statues enough to credit Garvey with instituting real change as a result of his campaigns and his mission. There is no doubt that Garvey did not succeed in everything he tried to do. He aimed at repatriating Black people to Africa in a mass movement. That movement failed. His Negro Factories Corporation and his Black Star Shipping Company thrived for a few years, but failed because of elements of mismanagement as well as because of his imprisonment in 1926. And his People's Political Party failed at the polls. But although his UNIA did not transport a single person to Africa, his influence reached multitudes on both sides of the Atlantic, and is proved to be a forerunner of the civil rights movement in the United States, led by Martin Luther King and others in the 1960s. King himself described Garvey as the first man of color to give millions of Negroes a sense of dignity and destiny, and to lead a mass movement of colored people in the United States. This no doubt influenced King, as well as countless other leaders like Malcolm X and others, Nelson Mandela and Bob Marley. The BBC famously credited him as one of the most influential persons of the 20th century. In Jamaica, His politics was not only the forerunner of the political movement which led to independence, but was the first organized movement that had outlined and stood up for the rights of the underprivileged. Let's hear some of what our own young people had to say in a forum like this, organized by this very homecoming foundation some years ago. And this relates to the cultural festival staged by Garvey at his Liberty Hall in the 1930s. The eventual winner, a young lady by the name of Mr. Dan Boswell from Columbus Fresh, seemed to have hit the right nail on the head when she told us why Garvey was such an influential figure. Garvey, she said, is still relevant today. This generation and others have come, and others to come should continue to value his teachings. She also indicated and believed that Garvey's history and philosophy needed to be taught in schools. Marcus, she said, did not want his African brothers and sisters to forget their roots. He envisioned the rise of his African brothers and sisters as world leaders, not only in athletics and in music, but also as philosophers, scientists, writers, and innovators. She closed with Garvey's original words. So why should a black man not be aware of his roots? This is Garvey's message to our generation. Without our roots, we may become squatters because we don't know we have royal blood running through our veins. Don't allow yourself to be trampled on the feet of your competitors. Stand firm. In closing, in 1987, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Edward Seattle, the 100th anniversary of Garvey's death, set out the reasons for the government's decision today to make him a national hero. I close with an excerpt from his reasoning. I quote, Garvey's movement grew out of a burning passion to overcome the beliefs, prejudices, distortions, bigotry, half-truths, years and propaganda of vested interests which had progressively threatened and denied the humanity of the people of African descent in this region for 400 years. Marcus Garvey responded vigorously to the challenge of his time, to the human problems of that period. But most of all, we are indebted to him for his uncompromising and unrepentant attack on racial prejudice everywhere, that wasting social disease that has crippled generations of their vitality. I quote from Marcus, some men shape the character of a nation and so build and unleash the spirit of the people, that the germ of their works and the thoughts affect all aspects of a nation's life. Of such was the man Marcus Asper, the man who changed the world. I'm quite finished. I'm adding 10 famous quotes of Marcus Garvey, and those are my last few words with you. Marcus famously said, if we as a people realize the greatness from which we came, we will be less likely to disrespect ourselves. 2, I trust that you will so live today as to realize that you are masters of your own destiny, masters of your fate. If there's anything you want in this world, it is for you to strive out with confidence and faith in self and reach for it. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but ourselves. That be our minds. That you didn't know that from Marcus. As a people without the knowledge of their past history, original culture that I achieved without rules. Take advantage of every opportunity. Where there is none, make it for yourself. I have no desire to take away black people, to take all black. There are blacks who are no good here, and will likewise be no good here. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately, you will liberate the bodies of men. Number 9, the black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. And finally, with confidence, you have won before you have started. I think these are all timeless statements, which are as relevant today as they were when they were first concepted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't think I can say that. I don't know how you want to say that. So I think you'll all agree with me that after such a presentation and such a lecture, we have learned so much this morning. I see Honorable Town laughing, I'm so pleased with what everyone greeted her with. And I would ask everybody to celebrate it. Everybody. Everybody. Following up on that, I'm going to invite Roseanne, Mrs. Roseanne Virgo, JP, who's a member of our foundation, and client officer with heart, and give the vote.
Welcome everything. Morning, afternoon, very afternoon now. Master of ceremony. Customers, Laura, customers, nurses, most esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, students, the pleasure is mine on behalf of the planning committee for the 12th Marcus Garvey lecture to move your vote plans. I want to say a special thanks, of course, to our customers, Laura, for always making yourself available to represent the St. Anne Parish in whatever activity that you're called to do. Thank you for bringing us this morning. Of course, in his absence, we thank His Worship the Mayor, Sidney Stewart, for, we realize he ran away, but that's his schedule for giving us those minutes. We are truly grateful. Of course, the morning would not have been balanced without the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission bringing out the Hannigan Dance crew. They were indeed inspiring and easy on the eyes to look at. Thank you so much for your dance. Our keynote lecturer, or guest lecturer, Sir Dell, thank you for those inspiring and educational words. I am sure that you either reminded us of something today or you brought a new perspective to some of us. Marcus Garvey's philosophy and his achievements are indeed worth speaking about every year in June. We are truly thankful. To the St. Anne Parish Library, thank you for hosting us yet another year. To our supporters and our caterers from the Hart College, we are indeed thankful. And indeed, the Ministry of Education and to our own Ms. Shelley and Martin, thank you for sharing in this morning's activity. Now to the parents and students, You could be anywhere else today with teachers, but you chose to be right here with us to learn something new that you can share with them. Ladies and gentlemen, last by no means, on behalf of the planning committee, partnered with the St. Anne Parish Library, thank you again for this fantastic event. And we are indeed grateful. A moment of difference make a difference in your attitude. Remember now to emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Thank you so much.
You're perfectly correct. This morning and today will be remembered as a day when we reminded ourselves that we should free ourselves from mental slavery. No other one can do it except one else can do it. So, boy, what a morning, and I'm not going to stop anything that they said because we said it so well, and we all heard. We're going to be closing shortly with the UNIA anthem, which will be standing as the last item. I want to invite somebody, a young lady, person, who's going to make a presentation to all guest people. On behalf of the library and of all of you, and of course on behalf of the foundation, we want to make a presentation. Invite Mr. Dell to come forward, please. A little talk. Right. Here. Oh. Here. All right, forgive us, excuse us. That's some technical one. But certainly we will be making a presentation to you. Not today, within the week or within the days to come. And a matter of fact, anything you want to do, leave it up to customs. Leave it up to this work, and they will tell. Like on earth. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. A presentation is being made of a gather at Office Plant. So the leading tree planter in St. Anne and in Jamaica. Mr. Marcus Garvey there.
On behalf of the planning committee and St. Anne Parish Library, beautiful land to make the fruitful and multiply and fill your heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joseph. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, on your feet now, on your feet, please, for the playing of the UNIA anthem, and you will enjoy it. This is the anthem that was played at the end of every meeting of the UNIA. Ladies and gentlemen, the end of the prayer member selection. If you want to follow it, we have some refreshments in the room. Good morning to you all.